Hello to all Cinemaster lovers.
Give me your hand! Fuck! Give me your fucking hand!
Hope you enjoy watching. Let's get started. At the beginning of our movie, we meet Ed, who is going on a trip with his wife Nancy and their daughter Cassidy. The three of them are in a boat near the shore. Ed is teaching his daughter how to swim. Then the girl tells him that there is something in the water and asks him to stop hitting her, but he tells her that he didn't come near her. Then he also feels that there is something wrong under there, so he decides to take her, and they quickly return to the boat. When Nancy hears his voice shaking, she runs to help them. They both get onto the boat and she is able to hold onto her daughter, but Ed is pulled down suddenly and is attacked. However, he comes up to the surface of the water, screaming in pain and trying to swim quickly to the boat, but unfortunately, he is unable to reach it because there is a shark under there that bites his leg. All this while Nancy is holding her daughter and calling for her husband, who disappears again and comes up to the surface of the water for the last time before he dies. This terrifying scene affects Cassidy and traumatizes her psychologically, causing her to have nightmares until she grows up. This period, in particular, is stressing her psychologically because she has returned to the same country where the accident happened, but this time she comes with her husband, Craig, who is the British Museum's representative, sent to search for an underwater treasure. Because he knows what happened to her father, he tells her that she can stay at the hotel if she wants, but she decides to go with him. However, it is clearly evident that the trip will be very difficult for her, and everything she sees makes her tense. She even sees a little girl in the middle of the crowd who looks like her when she was little. When they arrive, Craig introduces her to his friend Benz, who owns the boat that will take them to the treasure. They ask if it is okay for them to take two of his friends with them, and they agree. In the scene that follows, we meet Pierre and Sarah, who come to meet him and thank him for agreeing to go out with them on this trip. After everyone gets on the boat, Benz introduces them to his assistant Kai, and Benz tells them that he doesn't talk much. Then they move and walk on the same road where Cassidy lived the worst moments of her life. At this time, she keeps remembering the memories and also remembering her grandfather Seamus, who at that time was talking to a group of students and telling them about his trip to the Galapagos Islands when he was amazed by the strange shape of the plants there. Luckily, the captain was next to him when he started to reach his hand toward one of the plants. The captain caught him before he touched it and told him that it was a deadly type of plant. He uses this story to convey to the youth that they must always be careful, even if it is not necessary, because this will definitely save their lives. After that, he finds his granddaughter standing in front of the waves, between them the class, and he goes to talk to his granddaughter. When she tells him about the nightmares she dreams of, and that she sees Seamus's hand, he hugs her and tells her that he doesn't know how to ease her pain. When we return to the present, they hear on the radio a journalist warning the boats that many accidents have happened in this area before, and recently a ship sank, and there were contraband on it. However, Benz does not pay much attention to this news, and even the passengers with him do not hear it. At that time, there is a man close to them named Jordan in his boat, and someone warns him and tells him that there is another boat close to them. At that time, we see his men riding a felucca with weapons, and we know that they are searching for the sunken ship that had the drugs on it. Jordan is very patient when they see his boat, but he is not shaken when he sees them, and that is because he is also a criminal, and his gang has stronger weapons than them. Indeed, he and his gang finish off these dangerous pirates in seconds, and when they search their felucca, they throw the bodies into the sea before stealing the weapons. But what catches their attention among all of this is the tracking device, which they find wrapped in a plastic bag. On the other hand, Cassidy answers her grandfather when he calls her on a video call and tries to hide the tension she is in. Seamus tells her that he called to greet her before the network was cut off. Cassidy answers him and tells him that the network doesn't have to be cut off, but she realizes at the same moment that she was wrong because the network actually cuts off before she says hello to him. Then Nancy goes to her father and tells him that her daughter is no longer a child and that he needs to stop worrying about her. While they are on the boat, Cassidy gets worried when she sees Kai preparing diving equipment, and says that she didn't agree to this and didn't know that these things existed in the first place. Benz begins to explain to her that he brought this cage for the divers who go out with him and who like to go down from time to time, but he does not intend to use it this time. Cassidy gets embarrassed and apologizes for her reaction. We know here that she doesn't want to stay in the hotel because her grandfather taught her to always face her fears and never let the shock control her. Now, this cage incident proves that she still hasn't resolved her shock yet. Reg that she will dive with him. When he hears this, he is very happy with the decision. At that moment, Jordan and his men realize they have reached the point indicated by the tracking device. According to their calculations, there are 80 kilos of drugs in the water below, and they are waiting for someone to retrieve them. Meanwhile, Cassidy is preparing to be attacked, and wonders that Benz won't dive with them. He explains to her that he has done this several times before, and keeps watching from above. With that, Benz and Kai stay on the boat, while the others dive. They reach an area with a wrecked ship and gold mines inside, and they start collecting everything they find. Sarah signals to Pier to take some pictures of her, and she begins posing in front of the ship. Suddenly, a huge shark appears, following Pier. Sarah trembles as soon as she sees it and signals to her husband. Pier finally notices, looks behind him, and is terrified. The two swim towards the ship, trying to hide from the shark, but their fear attracts its attention. The shark chases them and attempts to attack, but cannot reach them. Although terrified, they eventually leave their hiding spot and try to escape. The shark returns, bites Pier's arm, and tears it off. Pier's scream is so loud that it reaches Cassie, who is on the other side of the ship. As the ship is about to sink, they signal to the garage for help. Once they reach them, they help Sarah and Pier out of the water. However, the blood trail attracts the shark again. As soon as Sarah surfaces, she screams and tells Benz about the shark. Craig helps Pier onto the boat while the girls swim as fast as possible. When Craig sees the shark just a meter away from Cassidy, he jumps into the water to help her. He is also attacked but manages to escape at the last moment. Pier is in critical condition. Benz is shocked by the size of the shark, and Kai tells him this is normal in the area. Sarah watches her husband lose consciousness and realizes they have little time to save him. Kai points out another boat nearby, which appears to be better equipped. They approach it, hoping the captain will help them and get Pier to a hospital quickly. As they come closer, they discover the boat belongs to Jordan. Benz explains everything that happened and asks for help. Jordan introduces a man with a beard named Apache, along with Chucky and Chase. When they see Pier's condition, Jordan is shocked and mentions the presence of a great white shark in the area, whose migration pattern remains unknown. Jordan shows them a chain around his neck, claiming it symbolizes his bravery and bad memories with sharks. The girls don't understand how this relates to Pier's injury and urge Jordan to act quickly. It becomes clear Pier won't survive, and Jordan doubts they can reach help in time, especially with an approaching storm. When Benz and the garage insist on leaving, Jordan changes his tone and asks if they've seen anything strange in the sea. Garrick denies it, saying they have nothing to do with Jordan's activities and don't intend to interfere. Jordan grows suspicious and orders his men to throw everyone into the sea. When his divers fail to return, he considers using the cage on the boat to search for his merchandise without interference from the sharks. He offers the cage in exchange for leaving them alone. Jordan raises his gun, threatening to end it all. At that moment, Cassidy decides to enter and asks about the weight of the load, telling them that the cage can't bear the weight of these men. And aside from their weight, she has lived her life studying sharks and such, and for this reason, no one can carry out this mission faster or better than her now. When Apache hears this, he agrees with her, and Chase also says that he doesn't want to be eaten today. Jordan is playing hard to get, but he realizes that this is the best solution in front of him and tells Candace where the thing he's looking for is. Since he doesn't have a radio, he tells Candace that he will pull it out in exactly 45 minutes. Then Cassidy puts on her diving suit and goes down in the cage, and Jordan tells them to lower her even further. As she descends, she remembers her grandfather's words about courage and keeps going down deeper, but as soon as the cage reaches the ground, a shark appears in front of her, and a second shark quickly arrives. The two begin circling around Cassidy, so she waits until they get tired and swim away, and only when they move off does she begin her task. Meanwhile, on the boat, Craig secretly gives Kai the gold coins he found, and Bat asks him to hide them. Suddenly, Tassin screams and points toward the water, alerting everyone to the sharks, and everyone is shocked by their massive size. Despite this, Jordan refuses to stop the mission and insists that Cassidy will return when she finds what he needs. Craig, furious at Jordan's indifference, calls him selfish, and Jordan calmly admits he's right and a despicable example. At that time, Cassidy begins tying the rope to Jordan's item, carefully checking her surroundings to make sure the sharks are far away, but she doesn't notice them sneaking back until they are right in front of her. Knowing the risk of returning empty-handed, she ties the rope to the heavy load without sudden movements and starts slowly pushing it. Just as she finishes, one of the sharks spots her and quickly approaches. Nuffer, but Cassidy manages to get back into the cage and shut the door a second before the shark reaches her. The men on the boat feel the impact as the sharks slam into the cage, and Frick tricks Jordan into thinking enough time has passed and convinces him to lift the cage. Jordan agrees and reels it in while the sharks continue circling below. One of the sharks snaps the rope, causing one of the bags to fall into the water. As the cage emerges, Cassidy screams hysterically, warning them about the sharks and the fallen bag. Sun hesitates to go after the missing bag, and Cassidy insists the rope broke and the goods scattered, trying to convince Jordan there's no point in going back down. As Jordan starts to lose his temper, they suddenly hear Chosen scream. When they see him being attacked, the men rush to help him, and in the chaos, Frick tries to grab Jordan's gun but slips and falls into the water. Jordan fires in his direction, but the bullets miss their target. Cassie is terrified to see her husband in the water, especially with blood surrounding the cage. Jordan orders Chucky to jump in and retrieve Chase, but as soon as he does, the shark attacks him. Jordan loses not only 2 men but also all his merchandise. At this point, Kai gives Cassidy the gold coins, and Sarah tries to comfort her. Jordan becomes angry, points his gun at the girls, and threatens to kill them. Cassie shows him the gold coins and reveals the real reason behind their trip, attempting to strike a new deal with him. Dunn is surprised when he discovers that the men found treasure and return to the boat with 2 coins, but Sarah angrily responds, thinking about her husband's arm being cut off, which she believes is the reason they returned. Later, we find out that Craig is still alive and selling items until he comes across the boat in the desert. When Sarah sees Pierre's body being thrown into the sea, she breaks down and calls Jordan a monster. Bay then decides she will also take the treasure hidden below. Despite Cassidy being injured and Sarah not in a good psychological state, the two agree to the plan. Returning to Craig, we see he manages to reach the boat, but Bella is on the gang's radio, and no one responds. Meanwhile, Cassidy begins to suspect that Jordan hasn't told them the truth. She confronts him and demands he be honest, suspecting he's doing all of this just for the money. Fjord Dunn, struggling from a fight with his hostage, reveals he was in the United States Navy before being arrested and expelled. One of his men interrupts to inform him that the Coast Guard is approaching. Jordan warns her that if she tries anything, he will kill Benz and Sarah immediately. When the guards arrive, he pretends to be Sarah's lover, claiming they are on a trip with friends. However, when the guards notice the 2 boats tied together and Cassidy's distressed expression, they ask to see Jordan's papers. Jordan says he'll retrieve them, but as soon as he leaves, his men emerge with weapons and attack the guards. In the chaos, Benz finds Kai injured. The fight leads to a massive explosion, killing all the guards. Despite the devastation, Jordan remains unfazed. Kai regains consciousness and urges them to hurry and find the treasure. Elsewhere, Craig sits in a felucca and finds a weapon. Meanwhile, Sarah struggles emotionally but is encouraged to calm down and ignore Jordan. Once ready, Sarah and Cassidy dive into the water, this time without the cage. Benz tries to save Casey, but Jordan interrupts, declaring that once the women return with the treasure, he will kill everyone on the boat to leave no witnesses. Benz tries to stop him, but Jordan shoots him, wounding his shoulder. Cassidy and Sarah resurface after distancing themselves from the boat. Cassidy tries to comfort Sarah. On the other side, Jordan orders Apache to go after Benz, but Benz strikes him with a spear, causing him to fall into the water, where sharks devour him. Sarah, terrified, decides to escape the gang and swim to shore, ignoring Cassidy's advice. Back with the others, Jordan manages to drown Benz and fires another shot, telling him the captain must sink with his ship. Meanwhile, a shark approaches the women. Cassidy screams for Sarah to stop moving, but Sarah, overwhelmed with sadness and losing control, panics and attracts the shark. Ultimately, the shark devours Sarah as Cassidy watches helplessly from afar. Determined not to make the same mistake, Cassidy wraps a scarf around herself and suddenly faces the shark. In that moment, she recalls Seamus's words, which give her the strength to face the shark. Miraculously, the shark moves past her, brushing against her like a pet. After this harrowing experience, Cassidy returns to the boat and tells Jordan to retrieve the treasure himself since he's so desperate for it. She cleans herself up, ignoring what he's done to Casey. Jordan tries to change the subject, claiming the boat will soon catch fire. At this point, Craig sneaks onto the boat and calmly opens it. He confronts the last of Jordan's men, and after a brief fight, kills him. Meanwhile, Jordan and Cassidy fight until Jordan decides to kill her. At that moment, Craig intervenes and throws his weapon. Jordan doubts Craig will actually shoot him and attacks, taking the gun away. Cassidy seizes Jordan's gun and shoots her husband with it. Cornered, Jordan tries to plead, but Cassidy, fed up, shoots him again. His body falls into the water, where sharks quickly finish him off. Craig and Cassidy discover that Benz is still alive and leave the horrific scene behind. On their way, Craig admits he's now traumatized and asks Cassidy to stay away from boats in the sea for a long time. 2 weeks later, Cassidy visits her grandfather and tells him that, after everything, she is finally okay. And thus, the events of our story conclude. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel and activate the notification button so you never miss an updates. See you in the next video.